I never planned journalism. My dream was to be a teacher. I will tell you that the time I lost money was when I tried to diversify. I tried to do a restaurant business in Accra, Ghana.
Okay.
And I lost over $500,000.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I see that you criticize him a lot.
I don't criticize him a lot. I criticize his government. But for a man who fought against dictatorship to now become a dictator himself, for me, is the greatest tragedy of this government. Today, if you look at the Tinubu government, his team is one of the worst. He just brought his cronies and packed them all into government.
You actually planning to be the president?
Yes, I was misled by Barack Obama into thinking that what Obama did in America, I'll be able to do in Nigeria.
That's quite interesting. Welcome to another episode of Building Wealth with Femi Rogers. In this series, we interview established professionals who have been successful in their various fields with the aim of learning from them how they were able to scale through all the challenges when they were building their businesses. Today, we have somebody that needs very little introduction. His name is Mr. Dele Momodu. His full name, I was going through your full name today, and it's quite interesting. Ayo Bamidele Ojutelegon Ajani Momodu. First time I'm hearing that. Ojutelegon.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That was given to me by my grandmom. Ojutelegon is God has put my detractors to shame. Those who said my mom was too old to have another child.
Oh.
Yes, at the time my mom met my dad, my mom had previously had 2 children, my dad had previously had 2 children, and I was the last and the only between the 2 of them. So my grandmom came up with that name, Ojutelegon. So all those who said, my daughter will not be able to bear another child, here is Dele.
So there was a history behind it.
There is always a history behind the name in Yoruba land, yes. Although I came originally from Edo State, my father had migrated from Edo State. I don't know how he navigated his way to Ile-Ife. Met my mom, they fell in love. My mom was from Bogon in Osun State, not too far from Ife, and I'm the only product of that union.
That's interesting. I would like to know a little bit about you growing up, your family background, the schools you went to in Ife. Where
I started my primary education in Ife in 1966. I went to a school that was so local that the name itself was local. Local Authority Primary School.
Local Authority, that was
primary school, Ifewara Road in Ile-Ife. That was the school I attended. Thereafter, I went to initial grammar school, but I think I spent less than 1 month. And my parents were worried because I used to run away from school and come back. I was so young, but yet I was so bold. I didn't like the school because I had to go and fetch water from a stream, or what they call Odu Otin River. So they brought me back to Ife, and I completed my first year at Oluorogbo High School. So you can imagine the names I'm giving you this morning. The Oluorogbo High School was where Baba Ogunfidodo, who was the proprietor of the school, agreed to allow me to spend the rest of the year. Thereafter, I got admitted to a Catholic school called St. John's Grammar School in Ile-Ife. And I entered the University of Ife as a pioneer JAM bite in 1978 with the first set of JAM. I'd worked in between in 1977 as a library attendant at the Ezekiel Oluwasomi Library in Ife. I'd also worked before then, after my first school start. I worked as an errand boy at CSS bookshops in Ile-Ife, where I used to sweep the floor, clean the bookshelves, but that was where I started getting
ideas
about reading. No, I never planned journalism. My dream was to be a teacher because I grew up with lecturers. My older brother retired as a professor of physics. So he was my role model. He remains my role model till eternity.
So your thought all along was you would go academic?
I'll go along his path, and then I was reading a lot of literature while I was in the library. I never thought I would be a journalist one day. I just wanted to be a teacher, marry a teacher, and live happily thereafter. So And as soon as I finished my first degree in 1982, I became a lecturer at the Oyo State College of Arts and Science in Ile-Ife. Thereafter, I worked as private secretary to Chief Akromobiru, who was deputy governor of Ondo State when Ondo was a combination of Ekiti and Ondo, yes.
Did that expose you to politics?
Oh, a lot.
The fact that you work with him?
A lot. Unfortunately, it didn't last long because of the coup, the Buhari coup, and I had to be going to prison every day. And now it was sending me to people across Nigeria. So I met a lot of people.
So while you were quite exposed to a lot of politicians and you saw the way they live,
yes.
How did you get to Lagos?
My friend, my best friend, Prince Damola Deremi, Prince of Ile-Ife, was the one who suggested me I should be writing. Since you have a first degree in Yoruba, now a master's in literature in English, then nobody else had done it at the time. So I started writing anyway for The Guardian. Yes. No, before I came to Lagos, I started writing from 1986, thereabout, writing for the African Guardian, writing for the opinion page of the Guardian newspapers, writing for Sunday Tribune, and then I co-authored an article with a friend of mine, Kunle Ajibade, and that article was so volatile that boom, it made us very popular. And so the next time I came to Lagos to look for a job, I got one on the spot at the African Concord magazine, because that was how I moved to Lagos. Of course, I couldn't rent a house. I had to squat with my friends. I eventually got my own place in Ikeja. From there, I got a place in Adigboluja, Jodu. That was where I stayed till I ran into exile under Abacha. So that has been the story of my life. It's been a roller coaster.
Journalism chose you?
But for journalism, for me, was a last resort. It just came fortuitously. I didn't plan for it.
Before you went abroad, you must have been involved in some politics. Because I know you were in Nadeco. How did you get into that from journalism?
I had started, like I said, my journalism career around 1988 at the African Concord. Early 1993, Chief Abiola joined politics. I'm him, my adopted father. I followed him.
And you were working at Concord at some point?
No, I'd left Concord years behind. So, and of course, I was anything I do, anybody who knows me knows I'm a one-way traffic. I go, nothing is going to distract my attention. So, by the time June 12 happened, I was actively involved. Chief mkoabiola, of course, was robbed of his mandate, and we wanted the mandate back. And then I got arrested. I was the first of the Abiola boys to be arrested around July 1993, July, after the whole thing happened, the June 12 crisis started. So after my arrest, Chief Abiola himself, I was in detention when he ran abroad. He later came back, and we continued with our campaign for the revalidation of June 12. And then by the time Abacha came, I was to be arrested again. And with Abacha, there was no negotiation. So I ran away. I had to dodge through the bush into Cotonou. From Cotonou, I went to Togo, from Togo to Ghana. That was my first day in Ghana, July 25th, 1995. And from Ghana, I moved to England, and that was where I settled eventually for the next 3 years. And that was where the idea for the Ovation thing started again. I had wanted to do Ovation way back in Nigeria, but I couldn't do it because I couldn't get the funding for it. But while in exile, my cousin Shegun Fatoye one day told me that, hey, Egmont, you are a damn good journalist. Why are you not doing something? In London, you can't just sit down at home doing nothing. Otherwise, you may have to wash plates or even wash dead bodies, So that was what woke me up. And I said, okay, so what do? We did our business plan. We needed £150,000. We couldn't raise more than 20,000. And then one of my partners...
20,000 was a lot of money.
But out of 150,000, it was nothing. It was a drop in the ocean. So one of my friends who was supposed to start with us, in fact, we were supposed to use his own company. He had already registered a company, and last minute he pulled back. He said he wasn't going with us. He said my ideas were too flamboyant. So because we had 20,000, and I said we should go and get an office with £14,000 in Docklands, the most beautiful office. He couldn't imagine what manner of human being would have 20,000 pounds and then go and spend 14 on getting an office. Are you not going to buy furniture? So what are you then going to have to print even the magazine itself? But my own idea, based on my previous interactions with big people, is that nobody does business with a poor man. In fact, the first thing I teach in entrepreneurship is that don't go to anybody cap in hand begging for money when you want to start a business. Portray the image. Is the impression counts.
Because I wanted to ask you, 20,000 then, how exactly did you raise it? Because that was...
Okay. What happened was that after we did our feasibility plan, we decided to approach our bank at the National Westminster Bank. And the bank said, oh, Dele, you don't have a history of doing business in the UK, so we cannot give you a loan.
Yes.
But my bank manager liked me. And she said, we can risk 5,000 pounds overdraft.
Okay.
Then my uncle back home in Nigeria scraped his savings and decided to give it to us. So the first grant we got from him was 10,000 pounds. Then I had friends, a few directors, 1,000 pounds there, 2,000, but nobody would believe how we started Ovation.
Okay.
You know, if I taught me a lesson that maybe if we had all the money, we would have failed.
Definitely.
Sometimes it's good not to have a lot of money.
Start
so
small.
It teaches you how to be frugal,
manage,
how you can manage.
How did you get the name Ovation? Why the name Ovation?
I was staying with a younger friend of mine, Mr. Kunle Bakare. He started his own publication called the Encomium. So it was Kunle Bakare who was staying. We were staying together in Ikeja.
Okay.
And then when I told him I wanted to start a paper, I said I needed a name. And we started thinking, what name? So he brought out his thesaurus, and it was inside that thesaurus we saw glitterati, ovation. Then I jumped at it. I said, that sounds good. Ovation for a purpose, loud for a purpose, you know, standing ovation. So that was how I picked the Ovation out of it.
One thing I noticed about you is you've been in network. Your network has always been large. I see right from Ife to Ondo to Lagos, people were always around you. You naturally draw people towards you.
It's unbelievable. If I meet you now, do you know there is nowhere I go in the world now, maybe also because of the advent of social media.
Yes.
There is nowhere I go, whether Kenyans, South Africans, everybody say, oh, I've seen you before, oh, you are the Ovation man. So Ovation captured the imagination of Africa because we were doing stories that people never saw before. The lifestyle of the rich and famous Africans. And God gave me access, because without access you cannot do those stories.
Yes. Yes.
So there is hardly any major personality between Nigeria, Ghana, and a few other African countries that I have not met. Presidents, and immediately, they believe my life is larger than life. So everybody wants to open up to you. Ministers want to take pictures. The governors want to be in your magazine. Because it's a feel-good magazine. Before Ovation, people thought what could sell was negative stories.
Yes.
But we brought the positive story. Chief mkoabiola, Chief Dende Fernandez, Chief Razak Okoya, Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr., Alhaji Aliko Dangote, Mr. Femi Otedola, Mr. Tony Elumelu. There are people dream.
Talking about big names,
to meet.
I think you forgot one big name. Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I would actually want to know where you met him.
Okay.
Was it in Lagos or in
I met him in Lagos because we were both working with mkoabiola over his presidential ambition. That was how we Yes, that was how we met. And he was a senator already at that time. Yes, he was a senator, and he liked me and I liked him. We did a lot of things together in Exile. I was in his house almost every day, and we worked together.
Your relationship started from Lagos?
From Lagos, and then
took us
to Exile, where we continued Exile. We bonded very well, yes.
But the way you are talking about Exile, you know, this is fun. There's also,
No, but Bola Ahmed Tinubu was not a poor man when he went into exile. He was already a senator, as I said. Yeah, he wasn't a poor man.
Okay.
And I don't know, people say I'm likable. Until tomorrow, that's why the fact that I'm not supporting him. If he sees me now, he say, you, Bob D, we will still hug. We differ on certain principles, that's all.
Okay.
Yes, that's all. It's nothing personal.
So, I see that you criticize him a lot.
I don't criticize him a lot. I criticize his government. It's nothing personal. You see, when people talk about him,
yes,
like some people, they were calling him names. You won't see me call him names.
Okay. So
in fact, yes,
you criticize the policies.
The policies, his policies, especially what I consider the tyrannical policies of his government, where we fought against dictatorship, and then you come back and you want to institute your own dictatorship. I can't support it.
Let's look at his policies. Are you saying that his policies are not good enough for the economy? What is exactly?
Economy is not the soul of democracy. The soul of democracy is freedom. People must have freedom to criticize government as they want. But a lot of times, you see repression, suppression, you see moves that suggest that, hey, some people want to rig elections and things like that.
So you're saying the policies are good for economy?
No, I didn't say so. I said economy is not the beginning of governance for me. Correct. The beginning of governance is the freedom of association, freedom of expression, which are now being curtailed under the government.
Invariably, you are saying him removing the subsidy.
Or from the one, without studying, looking at the symptoms, and looking at all my predecessors, how had they managed it to this stage?
Are you saying there is nothing wrong with him removing the subsidy?
No, I didn't say it was the way he went about it. It's like a doctor giving you an injection that worsened your case. Yoruba say, if the gods cannot help our situation, they should at least leave us the way they met us.
Paying subsidy.
If that's it. Because, okay, what have we gained 2 years after?
Interesting. Are you a fan of football?
Yeah, to some extent, yes. I'm an Arsenal fan.
You know the way they say that when people are playing football, the people watching football are the ones criticizing and saying, you should have taken that shot and all that. It's easy to criticize people who are playing. Don't you think you should give him a slack?
It is not. No, we didn't give others a slack. I supported Buhari into power in 2015. Yet 2 months after, I could already see he was leading Nigeria in the wrong direction. And I told him, Buhari invited me into his office, one-on-one, just the two of us in a room. And I told him, I said I'm not comfortable with the direction his government was going. He eventually did 8 years. So where is the result? Look, from the football, when you see a lineup, it's good that you've used the analogy of football. When you see a lineup, you will know whether Man U is going to be serious that year or not. Because you can see the ones who bought new players, who bought good players, who spent more money and got a very good manager. But you just buy all the players, no manager to manage them.
Correct.
Today, if you look at the Tinubu government, his team is one of the worst. He just brought his cronies and packed them all into government. That's not how to run the government.
You are a member of PDP.
Yes,
You're still a member of PDP.
Certainly.
What is the difference between PDP and APC? We see people moving from PDP to APC, from APC back to PDP.
It is because the way Nigerian politics is configured, it allows it. In some countries, it is disallowed that you move from A to B and back to, you can't do that. But that's not an issue for me. The difference is that under PDP, I did not see the level of repression that I've seen under APC. I've told you that for me, the fundamental basis for democracy is freedom. And once you lose that freedom, then everything is gone. I don't mind if Tinubu fails in the economy. He can say, I'm not an economist. But for a man who fought against dictatorship to now become a dictator himself, for me, is the greatest tragedy of this government.
Interesting. Ovation, I want to go back to Ovation. That was an interesting idea because it was a very different type of magazine. You used to cover events, beautiful pictures, and I guess that's one of the reasons why it was successful. It was a very rare idea at that time.
That is why it is successful, because it is still a very great idea till today. Nobody has surpassed us till today.
I know after that a lot of people copied it.
Oh, and they fizzled out.
Yes.
Yes.
They fizzled out.
You see, what we have succeeded in doing is to also migrate. You see, you have to be smart to be able to reinvent
Yes.
when necessary and to upgrade.
Correct.
So now we've upgraded Ovation Media Group into a modern organization. When you talk about Ovation TV, we've taken advantage of social media, which a lot of my colleagues are still struggling with. I have over 1 million followers on Instagram. I have about 1.7, 1.8 million followers
you are the
on
face
Twitter,
of Ovation.
just like Bill Gates is the face of Microsoft.
Correct.
Sir
Elon
Richard
Musk.
Branson is the face of
Richard
Virgin
Branson,
Atlantic. Yeah, that's what I've done. I've built a double brand.
Brand.
Yes.
So, what were the challenges you faced when you started up with Ovation?
Oh, I mean, like any other business, funding. We didn't have money, as I told you. We had little money, but we had abundant faith in God that, yes, with God, all things are possible. And
At what point did you started making enough sales to know you went into...
There was never a time we didn't make enough sales. Sales is different from profit. That's something that people have to learn.
Your cost
about business.
Your cost was high.
Yeah, very, because I mean, we were operating from abroad, from London. We still print the magazine.
And so you have to move it back to Nigeria.
So no, even when I moved back to Nigeria, I still print till today.
Because of the quality.
The quality, I will never. I told them my signature is quality.
Yeah.
That's why the people who tried to copy us couldn't catch up. Then number two, they didn't realize that I had tremendous goodwill.
Yes.
People were ready to pay for Ovation up front. You can say, hey, I'm having my birthday and I want to appear on the cover. And I say, oh, that picture on the cover is going to cost you $25,000. It's an aspirational magazine. People paid.
I can see that your strategy, you are the main brand because you are able to move from print yourself. You got a lot of followership on social media. So you are the one carrying...
As a presidential candidate.
Oh,
so I converted
to the business.
To the business.
Correct. So that's a great strategy, and you know, so you as
it
brand,
has really helped. It has really.
And you can do it vice versa, from Ovation to politics, and
back to politics.
Back to politics. As
Exactly.
Your fame.
In fact, you got it right.
Correct. I see that. What other investments? You are a businessman, and I'm sure you are quite wealthy. What other investment did you make in your time?
You see, I will tell you that the time I lost money was when I tried to diversify. People always think that diversification means you will make more money. No, unless you are very lucky, you can lose all your money while trying that. I tried to do a restaurant business in Accra, Ghana.
Okay.
And I lost over $500,000.
What happened?
Maybe I went into a business I did not quite understand. And also, the environment was not ready for my ambitious vision. I had a very ambitious vision.
For a restaurant.
It was called the House of Ovation.
Okay.
In Ghana. Very beautiful, great ideas, good food. I employed the best chefs, but it didn't work.
What went wrong? What do you think?
Everything that could go wrong went wrong. Number one, the environment was not prepared for me. I paid $60,000 to South Africa, a company in South Africa, to customize my industrial catering equipment, my plates, my spoons, my forks, my knives, refrigerators, everything. $60,000 in 2006 October. The goods arrived in a container in Tema, in Ghana, in January 2007. Do you know when they released it to me?
2007, January.
January, that was when it arrived. I got it out in 2010.
Three years.
Yes. Almost 4 years after I paid for the goods. So can you imagine, a lot of things perished in that container.
Wow.
So that's why I said, any business you want to do, if you don't understand it well, don't jump into it.
Step in, take, you know.
And I was paying a lease of $150,000 every year.
You took the ticket for presidency. Was it under PDP?
No, it was under the National Conscience Party.
Were you actually planning to be the president?
Yes, I was misled by Barack Obama into thinking that what Obama did in America, I'll be able to do in Nigeria.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, life is like that.
But
you know, but I also learned everything that happens to me, I learn a lesson from it. A lot of people don't learn any lessons. And that's why they will keep repeating the same mistake. And that's why I'm advising our president today, that learn lessons from others. You cannot enslave Nigerians. You cannot capture Nigerians and say by force everybody must follow you. Even if they are following you today, not out of love, but out of coercion. And is it worth it? What shall it profit a man if he becomes a president, but at the end of the day, he had no legacy to leave behind? So, for me, that has always been my life. I look at a life of legacy. What am I going to leave behind for those coming, behind me? And
you learned your mistake in your first trial. You should be trying again, second time.
I tried the second time. That was when I joined PDP. The first lesson I learned was that it was virtually impossible for a fringe political party to win, unless in a situation where you had the coalition like the APC and all the big juggernauts came together. But for you alone, to say, oh, I'm Peter Obi, I'm popular enough, I can do it alone. You don't have House of Reps, you don't have senators, you don't have
structure.
You don't have all those structures. When I told the obedience about structure, they were abused me endlessly. They didn't know I was speaking from experience. Like, what do you mean? We don't need structure. We don't need shishi. We don't need to pay anybody. An empty mouth cannot make noise.
Correct.
There are things that you must.
So you moved to the main.
Went to the mainstream. Yeah, that's why I went mainstream, and I'm there.
Would you be going one more time? You are now an experienced politician.
Now that I know it better, I'd rather support those who have prepared. Look at how long it took Buhari to get there. People don't understand how difficult it is.
It is to be.
It is so. I'm not the type that will now turn myself into a serial contestant who does not even have the money to run. Because if you are waiting for people to contribute to your campaign, you must start first.
I was going to say that since you are criticizing the current president, I mean, maybe you might as well take the job. You might be able to do better.
To take which job?
Being the president.
I mean, that's if Nigerians. I don't think any Nigerian would say Dele is not qualified to be the president of a country.
I think you are
I've interacted with presidents all over the world, and I can't see what they have that I don't have. In fact, what I can see is that I have much more experience and exposure than a lot of them. But that's not what makes you a president. To be a president sometimes is an art of, in fact, it's an art and a science of war. You must combine it. If you look at Tinubu, he came fully prepared. It was a battle for him. That's why the Emilokon philosophy is a philosophy of war. That I will play the game, whatever it takes.
And you are not ready to.
I don't have the capacity. Not that I'm not ready. I'm ready, but I need the capacity.
Correct. And you can also bring that into business as well. I mean, you have to be aggressive. You need some aggression to.
Yeah. I mean, I won't use the word aggression. You need the vision, you need the focus, you need the discipline, you need the tenacity in business. And I have all. I have the vision, I have the focus, I have the discipline, and I have the tenacity. That's why Ovation is 29 years old today.
What next for you?
I'm going more into charity.
Yes.
I'm going more into, I'll still be running I love my job. So I'm going to continue along that path, and I believe God will help me.
What about Nigeria? Where do you see Nigeria heading to in the next 10, 20 years?
I don't like holding a total negative view of Nigeria, I believe a miracle will happen. Nigerians are among the greatest human beings on earth.
Miracle.
Not just a miracle. No matter what you say about Nigerians are very determined people.
So, what are your thoughts about the entertainment industry as it is? I mean, it was quite different from when you started.
With entertainment, I'd always believed that Africa is blessed with two things: entertainment and sports. Those two things, and that's why at Ovation we decided to invest heavily in entertainment.
Thank you, audience, for being with us. We will be bringing somebody as interesting as Chief Momodu in our next series.
My name is Dele Momodu. I'm the chairman of the Ovation Media Group, and I'm asking you to watch this beautiful program, Building Wealth, with Femi Rogers. And I can tell you, even sitting down here with Femi Rogers, I've learned a lot this afternoon. Don't miss out, don't miss out. It's very important. Join Femi Rogers on Building Wealth. You will thank me later.